He's Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickel from Blue White Illustrated. Penn State, a 24-0 winner over Indiana here at Beaver Stadium. Nate, the Nittany Lions are 5-0. They're moving on to Iowa. They'll probably be number 3 in the country by, sometime today. It's Sunday now here on the East Coast. So let's just get your first thoughts. 24-0 Penn State win. Maybe not as satisfying on offense as some fans want it, but defense, special teams, absolutely terrific. And they put up enough points to win.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm awake now,
Right.
which is one of the things that had to happen because the second half kind of put me to sleep. Look, this is a defense that is suffocating, and I think that the conversation that we had up in the press box is going to hold true this week and many other weeks this season, which is who's going to score on these guys?
Right.
Like, who on the schedule is capable of hanging 30?
Right.
And when Penn State's offense can come out and kind of methodically, right, like their scoring possessions, the first 3 scoring possessions were 13, 9, and 9 play drives.
Right.
Which is not really the character that I was anticipating seeing from this Penn State offense this season. Right?
No.
Like I think we were all kind of expecting those quick, explosive play touchdowns.
Yep.
And so, yet again, you see a different way for this Penn State team to win. But at the backbone of all of that conversation is a defense and special teams that just will not allow offenses to move the ball against them and definitely not score.
Yeah, it seems to me that if you're going to score, like you mentioned, the 25, 30 points against this team, you're going to have to do it either on special teams or on defense. Because I just don't see many teams. Perhaps Ohio State's the one exception. I'm still not sold on their offense. But other than that, which team on this schedule that's left? I mean, I know Michigan State has a good running back, but Illinois is not doing it. I don't think Iowa's doing it at Kinnick Stadium. And then who else? I mean, Rutgers, Maryland? No, that's not going to happen. So, to me, it all comes down to what James Franklin said at the start of his news conference, which is that they have to put it all together on offense. Right. They are that step away. And I don't think they're far. I know some things that they are, and that the running game can't get going, and it's not good enough, and blah blah blah. Sean Clifford's not accurate enough. I get it, but to me, Nate, they're one step away from having a team, and they're deserving of a top 5 ranking right now. But I think if you're looking at this from 40,000, 50,000 feet, if you're in Columbus or if you're in Tuscaloosa or Athens, Georgia, you might say, yeah, maybe the stats don't look as good as they should for a team ranked this high. But if you watch them week in and week out and you really look at some of the stuff they're doing, especially on defense, this team is deserving of where it's at. And I don't think many people thought it would get here at the end of the first week of October.
Definitely not, right? I mean, it was a 4-week ascent from 22 to number 4.
Right.
Give it another week.
And probably
number
3. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think that the question for me is, how many of those 3rd and 1 situations that they weren't able to convert tonight?
Yep.
What does that look like in 2 weeks? What is it? I mean, obviously 2 weeks is a bye, but right, like next week.
Thank God for that.
Thank God. No, but as in a game like Iowa, right? So Indiana just at never point looked as though it could compete in this game.
No.
At zero moment did it seem like Indiana was going to compete.
Correct.
And so
it was 14-0. It may as well have been 140-0.
Exactly, right? Like they just offensively, Michael Penix had no chance.
Yep.
The receivers caught a couple of nice balls, but offensively they could not run the ball whatsoever. There was just no opportunity for Indiana to score points. However, right, I was going to be a little bit of a different beast.
Yep.
And that's not to suggest that I was going to throw up 30 or 40, right?
Because it's not.
It's not. But if Iowa can get to 20, what does this Penn State offense look like, right? Like if they can't get those tough 1 or 2 yards, and that if anything from tonight stands out in terms of a shortcoming, I would say that's it, right? Kevon Lee being unable to get into the end zone on a 4th and goal at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it might sound insignificant and seem insignificant in a game that Penn State was in no danger of losing.
Right.
But that's the question is, are they going to be able to do that in a game where it does matter?
Right.
And so far, I think that certainly in a season where there were a million questions coming in for this Penn State program, they've answered a lot of them.
Right.
But there are still a few that remain.
And I don't think that 4 weeks ago, I don't know if we were talking about the offensive line and the run game being one of those questions.
Not at all.
I mean, that was probably as far down the list as anything. And bwi.rivals.com, you can come chat with us about this and do so on YouTube as well. But I guess for the coaches out there, I know we have a lot of them on the board. They'll be curious. To me, Nate, these short yardage things, it feels more. I don't think it's scheme, and I don't think it's not knowing what to do. Sometimes it is, but I just see guys miss blocks.
Right.
Just whiff or just not, kind of graze a guy instead of really getting the hat into him. And I think that's where the next step has to be taken, but that might be harder than fixing scheme. You can do some things to hide that.
Right.
If you have guys who are not consistently putting their hat and driving somebody back, that's a problem. But I agree with you. That's where they need to go next. They're close. And, hey, it's top 5 Iowa time in Kinnick Stadium. We're looking forward to it.
What are do you have early thoughts? Did you see any of that game last
I
night?
did, yes. Iowa has a turnover differential that is not sustainable. I think they had 7 turnovers last night. The season total is something like 16-4 and only 4 given up. It's not sustainable. It's going to catch up to them at some time. Guess what? This is a Penn State defense that's opportunistic, that will be able to create turnovers. To me, Penn State's probably a 3-point favorite. We'll see in, 12 hours or whatever when the line comes out.
You always have the line.
Yes, always in mind. Yeah, dead under here tonight. But, yeah, Nate, I think that Penn State is going to be people are going to look at that game, and James Franklin talked about it. Kinnick's a tough place to play. Iowa City's just not a fun place to go to. So,
I have fun there.
We always have fun there. Cedar Rapids is a wonderful place. But ultimately,
Great
it comes.
YMCA.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I got nothing for that. But I look at it like this: Penn State, if it plays the way it played tonight, should be able to win that game. But it's going to need to be a little bit better on offense. But if you're making 50-yard field goals, if you have 2 turnovers via interception, and if you're putting up 400 yards of offense, even if it's a little kind of herky-jerky and inconsistent, I think it was 7 drives of 5 plays or less.
Yep.
John Dotson said it best. They need to get to a point where they're kicking on every drive. It ain't going to be every drive, but field goal or extra point.
Yep.
And they're close.
Yeah.
So I like Penn State and the way it matches up with Iowa.
One small note that it's going to be understated repeatedly, but when Jordan Stout is putting the opponent within their 15-yard line for every possession, right? Like I don't have the stat line in front of me right now.
It's unbelievable.
My perception is just, he is relentless to that effect, and that's demoralizing for offenses.
Yeah,
to have to face that every time that they touch the football. So, look, another one. Some people didn't know, right? It was 4-0. Maybe they're back into Big Ten play. Maybe Indiana poses a little bit of a threat after what happened last year. No threat at all.
No threat.
And I think we all get to learn something new next week.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, that is the Blue White Illustrated post-game show on the field. Don't forget, you can check out T. Frank's live show, youtube.com/Blue White Illustrated. Nate, it's on to Iowa, and we will talk to all of you next week.